games have always owed a debt to cinema, but there's a lot of instances where things go a little deeper than games that just feel cinematic. From framing and camera angles to full-blown set pieces and story beats, game developers have been quietly lifting from Hollywood for decades, and honestly, we love it. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 10 iconic video game moments you had no idea were taken from movies. Number 10, Uncharted 3, Plane Chaos. Everybody knows that Uncharted is basically Indiana Jones the game, before Indiana Jones the game was the game. Basically, it's complete with quips, set pieces, and near-death experiences that happen every 20 minutes or so. But one of Uncharted 3's most iconic moments doesn't come from Indy. It borrows from another cinematic globetrotter, that is, Bond, James Bond. In The Living Daylights, Timothy Dalton's 007 finds himself mid-brawl in the belly of a cargo plane that's flying over the desert. The fight spills out onto the back ramp, with Bond and a henchman hanging onto cargo mid-air, before, of course, gravity does its thing. At the time, it was one of the most ambitious stunts ever put to film. And then Nathan Drake took a look at that scene and said, "Hold my beer." In Uncharted 3, the setup is almost identical. Cargo plane, desert, high stakes, freefall, but the chaos is dialed up to 11. Debris blasts past as Drake dangles from netting, henchmen open fire mid-drop, and when he finally climbs back aboard, the plane rips itself to pieces, hurling him into a sandstorm with nothing but a parachute and a prayer. It's such a standout sequence, they recycled it for the Uncharted movie. The problem, on the big screen, it suddenly felt like a video game knockoff. Irony. Number 9, Resident Evil Zombie Reveal. Any horror buff is going to be hard-pressed to name a more iconic zombie reveal than the one in Lucio Fulci's Zombie 2, the grimy Italian classic where eyeballs get skewered, zombies fight sharks, and everything is soaked in sleaze. It's not the best zombie film, but it is a cult classic through and through, and it left its mark on Resident Evil in a pretty unexpected way. Turns out the game's director Shinji Mikami absolutely hated Fulci's film. He disliked its obsession with gore and effects over mood and tension, but he did also lift its most iconic scene, and he did so beat for beat. In both the film and the game, a character stumbles upon a zombie hunched over a body. The creature slowly turns its head, neck cracking, blood dripping, and just stares. Same shot, same rhythm, same dread-soaked pause before it lunges. Whatever Mikami felt about Fulci's style, he couldn't ignore the power of that particular moment, and in borrowing it, he helped define survival horror for an entire generation. Who knew the game that kick-started a ton of what we now know as defining survival horror would feature a scene that was taken from a movie that the game director hated? Here you go. Number 8, Sifu, Hallway of Destruction. Sifu wears its love for kung fu cinema on its sleeve. From Shaw Brothers throwdowns to modern-day Donnie Yen flicks, the game's tale of revenge is soaked in decades of martial arts movie history. And honestly, few games have ever captured the rhythm, weight, and raw choreography of hand-to-hand combat quite like this one. But while Sifu obviously borrows tons from the genre at large, there is one particular scene that it copies beat for beat. And actually, it's not even from a kung fu movie. Early in the game, you fight your way down a grimy, narrow corridor, dispatching enemies in a side-scrolling single-take brawl. It's tense, grounded, and plays out in one uninterrupted shot. If that sounds familiar, that might be because it's ripped directly from Oldboy, Park Chan-wook's twisted revenge masterpiece from South Korea. The infamous hallway hammer fight became an instant classic in cinema for its gritty realism and tracking shot brutality. Sifu swaps out the hammer for fists, but the pacing, structure, and framing are Oldboy through and through. While the game does go full kung fu fantasy later on, this scene stands out as a secret tribute to one of the most memorable fight sequences ever put on film. Number 7, Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth's Flame Walk. There are few images in gaming more burned into players' brains than Sephiroth standing in front of a wall of fire, calmly turning his back on a burning Nibelheim like he's just popped out for milk. It's a defining moment in Final Fantasy VII where we see the pretty boy soldier turn into something far darker. But Square didn't pull that shot out of thin air. It's a clear visual lift from Akira, Katsuhiro Otomo's animated masterpiece, where Tetsuo, drunk on power and madness, strolls through burning wreckage after laying waste to Neo-Tokyo. The same calm silhouette against roaring flame, and the same eerie stillness after chaos. It's not just a cool shot, it's a shot that tells you that everything has changed. This character is no longer a part of the world, and is willing to burn everything down just to make a point. Plenty of JRPGs riff on anime, but Final Fantasy VII absorbed it into its DNA. And in that moment, Final Fantasy VII didn't just borrow the style of Akira, it channeled its apocalypse. Number 6. Hitman Blood Money, Masked Mansion. IO Interactive has always played it kinda cute with their film references, from Hitman 3's Agatha Christie-inspired whodunit mission to the heavy Michael Mann energy running through Kane and Lynch 1 and 2. But none have felt quite so subtle yet apparent if you know what you're looking for than the reference to Eyes Wide Shut in Hitman Blood Money in the mission You Better Watch Out. Set in a remote, snowbound mansion during a decadent New Year's Eve bash, the level has 47 infiltrating a world of sleaze, power, and masks, quite literally. There are half-naked models, a hot tub full of influencers, masked elites lurking in red-lit corridors, and a mood that's less action thriller and more dreamlike voyeurism. It's not a one-to-one creation of Kubrick's infamous ritual scene. There are no cloaks or chanting, but the influence is clear in the framing, pacing, and the surreal tone of the whole thing. It captures that same creeping unease, the sense that you've stepped into a space you aren't supposed to see. Except in this case, you're not the outsider, you're the apex predator in a room full of lamps. Eyes Wide Shut reimagined as a murder playground somehow works perfectly. Number 5. Grand Theft Auto 4, Three-Leaf Clover / The Puerto Rican Connection. Rockstar Games doesn't just reference movies, they absorb them. Grand Theft Auto as a franchise is basically built on a foundation of cinematic homage, from blink and you'll miss it nods to full-blown mission recreations. It's in GTA 4 that two standout sequences show just how deep that rabbit hole goes. First, there's Three-Leaf Clover, the mission where Nico, Paki, and Derek don suits and ski masks, storm a bank, and kick off a full-scale urban warfare shootout through Liberty City's streets. Any crime film fan worth their salt will clock this one immediately. It is, of course, Heat. The precision, the duffel bags, the sheer scale of the escape. It's Michael Mann's downtown shootout reimagined with body armor and a wanted level. Then earlier there was the Puerto Rican Connection, a relatively small-scale engagement that actually has massive film pedigree. Nico tails a target riding the overhead train, pursuing relentlessly by car along the tracks before gunning him down on the subway steps. If this sounds familiar, you might remember it from the French Connection, straight down to the jagged pacing and chaotic energy. Number 4. Call of Duty World at War, Snipers Got a Vendetta. Call of Duty has always worn its war movie influences proudly, but World at War's Stalingrad mission Vendetta doesn't just tip the helmet, it outright lifts its entire setup from the criminally underrated Enemy at the Gates. The mission opens with you as Dmitri dragging your incredibly wounded body through a sea of corpses in a devastated Fountain Square, all while German soldiers are mercilessly gunning down survivors. It's brutal, bleak, and nearly shot-for-shot the same harrowing opening from Enemy at the Gates. Jean-Jacques Annaud's sniper epic, and this is right down to the burning ruins, the dead-eyed silence, and the methodical horror of it all. Then you're handed a sniper rifle by your grizzled comrade Reznov, voiced with glorious scenery chewing by Gary Oldman, and the revenge kicks in. From there, the mission becomes a tense atmospheric crawl through shattered buildings. There's sniper duels and whispered orders, as well as lethal patience, just like Jude Law's arc in the film. The homage here definitely isn't subtle, but it really doesn't need to be. Vendetta is one of the most cinematic levels in Call of Duty history, and it owes nearly everything to Enemy at the Gates, a rare case of the game matching the intensity of the movie that inspired it. Number 3. Silent Hill 2, Welcome to Pyramid Head. Silent Hill has always owed a heavy debt to Jacob's Ladder, but Silent Hill 2 took things to the next level, particularly in that scene where you meet Pyramid Head. That debut encounter, tucked away in a filthy, rusted apartment complex, doesn't just deliver in atmosphere, it directly mirrors Jacob Ladder's descent into psychological hell. In Adrian Lyne's cult horror, Vietnam vet Jacob is dragged through a grotesque hallucination inside a mental asylum, where twitching patients, deformed creatures, and industrial grime blur the line between reality and nightmare. So yeah, that might sound familiar. From the disorienting camera work to the sound design that grates on your nerves, Silent Hill 2 lifts the vibe wholesale, and Pyramid Head, he's the physical embodiment of that. A towering butcher of guilt and punishment, his arrival doesn't just scare, it massively unsettles. It feels wrong in the same way that Jacob's Ladder makes you question every hospital gurney and hallway. This wasn't just horror for horror's sake, it was a psychological dive into grief, trauma, and punishment, and Silent Hill 2's most unforgettable moment is, quite literally, built off of Jacob Ladder's DNA. Number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, Train Heist. Rockstar's admiration for cinema doesn't just start and end with its GTA franchise. Red Dead Redemption is equally guilty of lovingly belonging to the film world, at least in parts. Nowhere is that clearer than its hauntingly cinematic train heist early in the game, which owes everything to Andrew Dominic's The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. The moment hits just after the snowy prologue, as Dutch's gang sabotages the train under the cover of night. The scene is drenched in shadows, fog, and silence, lit only by flickering lanterns and the soft glow of moonlight. As the train slowly screeches into view, the camera lingers with reverence. It's not just a robbery, it's a moment. It's a direct lift from Jesse James's opening heist, which plays out almost identically. Masked outlaws hiding in the trees, the train emerging from blackness, and the violence unfolding with eerie restraint. The tone isn't just rah-rah Western action, it's mythic, melancholic, and strangely beautiful. Red Dead 2 may give you the reins to be an outlaw, but in moments like this, it's clear that Rockstar wants you to feel like one, not just through gameplay, but through pure, gorgeously stolen cinema. Number 1, Resident Evil 4, Laser Hallway Trap. Resident Evil 4 is a stone-cold classic, a genre-defining entry that reinvented the series and helped shape modern action horror. Packed with iconic moments, tight pacing, and career-best cheese from Leon S. Kennedy, it's about as far from the quality of the divisive Resident Evil movie series as you can get. But here's the twist, one of the most memorable bits of Resi 4, it was actually lifted from the very first Resident Evil movie by Paul W.S. Anderson. Midway through the game, Leon finds himself in a high-tech corridor where laser beams begin slicing their way toward him. He flips, ducks, and narrowly avoids being turned into diced Kennedy. It's a tense cinematic moment that stands out in a game mostly focused on creepy villages and ancient cults. But this exact concept and execution actually comes from the 2002 movie, where a squad of commandos gets absolutely shredded in a near-identical hallway. The shot composition, pacing, and laser grid payoff are all but mirrored. It's a rare moment where the Resident Evil game tips its hat to the movie and arguably does it better. It's a crazy over-the-top trap, but it fits perfectly in Resi 4's chaotic world.